Today is one of my favorite days because we are launching one of our collaborative books today. And so we have several of the authors that have each written a chapter in our collaborative book that are coming to our book publishing headquarters. And what's really fun about this that I wanted to share with you is it's really about anticipation. That one of the keys to doing this well as an author, following the writing path, is having anticipation for the next step in the journey. And when you don't have a system, you don't have a path to follow, you don't know what the next step is. But when you know what the next step is, you can get excited about anticipating that next deadline, that next book launch, whatever the next thing is. So in this video, I wanted to walk you through our collaborative book process and exactly how that works. And hopefully that inspires you to either join our program or at least to have your own system that you can follow step by step to write your story and to publish your book. So it all really begins with a webinar. I have a live training where I talk about how your life story can become somebody else's hope story. And that's where the conversation really begins with somebody about potentially writing their life story. So you have a life story to share, and I use the acronym L, isolation, failure, and endings. That you have been through hard things in life, and because you've been through hard things in life, but you made it through them, someone else is going through right now what you've been through, and so since you've been through it, they can trust you to help them get through it. And that's the story of your life. Now, it's not the story of I was born at a young age and here I am today. It's this is what I faced. And we call it the prison, promise, path. So the prison is the life that you experience, the letdown, the isolation, the failure, the ending. The promise is the promised land. It's where you are right now. The life that you're living today felt impossible 3 years ago when you were in the prison. And then what people want to know is, how did you do it? How did you get out? So that's the structure of your life story, which in a collaborative book you write as a chapter. So picking one of those areas where you were stuck, where you're experiencing that suffering in life, and then what were the steps of faithfulness, the endurance to go from the stuck to success, or the prison to the promised land. And that's your chapter. This is when I found out that my son was diagnosed with something really scary. This is how I processed it. This is how I learned to trust God. This is how I learned how to ask for help. This is how I learned that the diagnosis was actually a blessing and not a curse. And now the promise is that we have an amazing relationship and he's really thriving, in his 30s. That whole process from the prison to the promised land, following the path, is the chapter. Now, how do you write that? Well, we have training. So we show you the framework of that chapter, structure it. Then we also have an onboarding call and coaching calls to help you get unstuck, to help you actually write your chapter. We have very specific guidelines about how many words your chapter needs to be. And then once you send in your chapter, then there's an editing process, developmental editing, and then copy editing to clarify what you're meaning to say, and then to clean up the grammar, punctuation, spelling, etc., so that you have a chapter that you can be really proud of. Okay, so now you take that chapter and a chapter from another author and a chapter from another author, and these are all authors that are inside that one collaborative book. Ideally, that's 10 authors. So 10 authors in one book. And then what's really cool is we used to name the books before we would fill them with authors. But now what we do is we take the 10 chapters, and after going through the editing process and reading through them, we come up with some ideas for what the book title could be. And we allow the authors to vote on the title to help to choose the title for that collaborative book, which is really fun. And we do the same process with the book cover as well. What's fun about this is that you're not doing it by yourself. You're with community the whole time. And so where maybe if you did it by yourself, you'd get stuck, the fact that you have our team, the fact that you have a system, the fact that you have a deadline holds you accountable to keep moving forward. And you're contributing as a collaborator rather than being the solo creator. And this can help you experience the benefits of creating a project without the detriments of having to do it all by yourself. So after we collaboratively choose the book title and the book cover, Then our team goes to work with the formatting and the design and compiling to put together that book, to get it uploaded to our printer network, to get it onto Amazon, and of course our team also writes the copy, so the back of book copy, the marketing copy, the words that people need to know about the book so they can purchase the book. And then there's a process of launching the book. This is what gets really exciting. We give our authors like social media graphics and templates of what to share and what to say to encourage other people to grab a copy. So they do that in the pre-launch. So as the book is getting ready for launch, we invite our authors to share about the book and to start telling friends and family about the book. And then a day like today, our 10 authors are invited to come to our book publishing studio and to launch the book with us. So at about 1 p.m. today, we're gonna have, I think we have 4 of our authors here today. So we're gonna have 4 of our authors coming from around the country, and we're going to give them a tour of our studio. I'm gonna give them their book for the first time. So they're literally gonna be handing their book, holding their book for the first time, which is just really exciting. And then we do a podcast interview with the authors that are in person. So hearing a little bit about their story and what was it like to write their story, what's their story about. Then I do a little workshop training on what's your next step, right? Really trying to figure out what's your full book, the book that you've been dreaming about. And I really take our authors through the XYZ process. So that's part of the dream process of the writing path, the person, the problem, and the promise of your book, the XYZ. And then I like to try to get clarity. What could the title of your future book be? It's really fun to do that part, trying to come up with the title, the subtitle, maybe even some ideas for what the cover could look like. And then we take a little break. Oh, then we take headshots. So they get professionally taken photos as authors. And then after that, we take them out to dinner. So getting to know them, and sometimes they have their spouses as well. So getting to know them, getting to know their spouses, which is really fun. And then after all that, after taking them out to dinner, then we have a live book launch where we have a Facebook Live, and we set it up in our book publishing headquarters and interview them about their story and about their book. And they're really nervous, but it's really exciting to talk about their book and to do it live. And it's really fun. And then we wrap up the evening with an invitation to say, you know what, you've done such a great job so far. You've written your chapter. What would it look like for you to keep working with us? By this point, we've gotten to know them really well, and they've gotten to know us. And we say, it would be really cool for us to continue working together and to actually go ahead and do a full book. It takes about a year, but it's totally worth it. And so that's what today looks like. If you'd like to learn more about, you can just go to hopebooks.com/collabs to learn more about the collaboration process.